All right, just a reminder before we get started with coaching the student athletes that the Tennessee locker room is currently open until 3:10 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started with head coach Rick Barnes, as we've also joined by student athletes Nate Ament, Bishop Boswell, and Ethan Berg. At this time, we'll take questions for our student athletes. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We have microphone holders on both sides of the room. On the left side.
Hi, Harris Harwitz with Inside You. I've got a question for Nate. Nate, when you suffered that injury in February against Alabama, I don't think anyone would have faulted you if you decided to sit out for the rest of the season, given your lottery projection. Why was it so important for you to come back and play for this team in the NCAA tournament?
I think I just had more to give. I wasn't ready for my season to be over, especially, but I also wanted to, empty the tank out for my teammates, for the university, for our coaching staff, and just give everything I had so that we can be in the best position to win.
Next question on the left.
Steve Lehman, News Channel 5. For a couple of you guys, hopefully. A lot was talked about what your front court did yesterday. Michigan has arguably the best front court in the country. How confident are you that that group that we saw dominate Iowa State yesterday can hold their own and then some tomorrow in the matchup?
Bishop, you want to take that first?
Yeah, I'm definitely confident in them. I've seen them all season, hold their own, absolutely. Obviously, Michigan has a great group of guys over there, but so do we, and the coaches did a great job in the offseason of just, bringing in a bunch of bigs that we can rotate in, and, yeah, I think we'll be good.
Ethan, anything to add to that?
Yeah, like Bishop said, I think we got a lot of depth. We got really talented bigs, 4 bigs. And we gonna do we can do our jobs, try to feed them the ball, try to let them go to work. I know how talented they are, how capable they are, and I'm confident in them.
Third row on the left.
Hi, Maya Heyman with Medill News Service. My question is, how do you think the team can improve in terms of limiting turnovers going into tomorrow's game for any of you guys?
Nate, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think
tell me. I like to learn myself.
Just knowing that's what it takes to win. Got to value the possession, and even sometimes a contested, tough shot is better than a turnover. And just, get into our spots and get into our positions and just trusting each other to make shots, and if not, we'll get the offensive rebound.
First row on the left.
Nate, Luke DeCock from Hoops HQ. I'm just curious, during the recruiting process, what was it that drew you to Tennessee and Coach Barnes in particular?
I don't want to, give him too much love because he's right next to me, and I won't hear the end of it if I do. But, it was just, I knew that coming into it, I needed to, kind of increase my motor and, become a more of an effort player and learn so much that way on the defensive end. But, coming here, I've grown so much offensively and defensively. I think I'm a, completely different player since when I first got here. And then also just kind of the family aspect of the team and the team motto where it's not about me. And I knew that coming here, we were going to play for something bigger than any accolades I could win myself. So I just want to, be part of a family and do something special here that's never been done. And just play for these guys and play for the university.
Go back on the left.
Justin Williams from The Athletic. For all three of you guys, Jalen had a big game last night. He was pretty fired up in a few moments. Have you, seen kind of the progression of his game, and what does it mean not only when he plays like that, but kind of has the intensity that he does for you guys?
I feel like we all know what Jalen's capable of. He's very talented. I feel like coach has been pushing him really hard. That's what I expect from him personally. We at the biggest stage now. It's win or go home. So we need everybody to the best of play to the best of their abilities in order for us, to achieve our goals. So I feel like Jalen really stepped up, and I count on him to do it again.
Yeah, he's just such a presence inside for us, obviously with his frame. And when he's playing with that type of energy and just the way he was vocal in the huddles last night, it just brings another different piece to our team that we really need for if we want to go as far as we want to go.
Second row on the left.
Nate, can you just talk about Yaxel and how good you see he is as a player and the challenge of going against him? And then maybe Bishop, how good is their offense? Is it among one of the best you've seen this season based off of what they've done in the tournament so far?
Yeah, I mean, speaking specifically on Yaxel, he's a great player. Candidate for National Player of the Year, and he's deserved all of it. We got our work cut out for us with him, and it's going to take a team effort to try to stop him. And talking about Michigan, they're a great team, really well coached, very disciplined, and we got to be locked in, especially on the defensive side, if we want to have an opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, super dangerous offensively. I think they have a bunch of different pieces and guys that can come in off the bench and contribute, really shoot the ball. But I think they're definitely super dangerous in transition, especially Yaxel, just with his frame kind of getting downhill. So just got to be locked in, transition, defense, and then just building walls and, guarding as a unit.
We'll go in the front row.
Yeah, Trey Wallace with Fox and Outkick. This will go for the players here. Last night there was a video on social media posted by the Vol Hoops account. You guys were saying the Lord's Prayer after the game. If you could, I know Coach Barnes is a man of faith, but how has that rubbed off on you guys over your time at Tennessee so far? And then seeing something like that on social media, the comments, it kind of made an impact on folks around the country. So just your thoughts on that and going forward.
I mean, I know specifically for me, it's one of the reasons I chose Tennessee is because Coach Barnes and his faith, and it kind of trickles down throughout the whole coaching staff. But I think when, as a team, you're trying to glorify something bigger than yourself and ultimately something that is, Jesus Christ and is God, can only lead to good things. And when you're playing for something other than your own glory and the glory of others, the glory of your teammates, the glory of Christ, then only good things can happen from there if you're being selfless and trying to take care of each other. And to see how it affects our locker room and how we've grown as a team because of it means so much, and I'm just truly grateful for it.
Yeah, another reason why I came here, kind of just you could be unafraid to, kind of show your faith, and we do that before and after every game, and it's just something that I personally value, and then a lot of the guys value, and just being able to kind of share that with these guys, whether you do believe in Jesus Christ or you don't. Yeah, just it being a safe space for everybody, kind of just to have those conversations, I think is huge. And we have power talks before every game where we hear about the Lord and things of that nature, and we kind of are able to tie it into basketball. But it's just His will be done, and He's the reason we're here in the Elite Eight, and hopefully we can get even further.
I'm Jewish, so I'm joking. I enjoy taking part of that. I think it's a beautiful tradition. I feel like it brings us together, and just seeing the camaraderie we have in the locker room, and I think it's beautiful. I enjoy being a part of that.
And if I can add real fast, I just think especially doing before the game and after the game, just to know that good performance, bad performance, win or loss, Jesus is always there for you. Your worth isn't in how you play as a basketball player, but it's what Christ has done for you, and you're a child of His. So I think that if we all understand that, kind of allows us to play with more confidence and play for something that isn't just a win or a loss, but just to play so we can glorify Him.
Go on the far right side, second row.
A question for two of you guys. Nate, I'll start with you, and this might be a part, what you were just talking about, a part of your answer, but with some of the inconsistencies earlier in the year, why have you guys played your best basketball right now? Sometimes it can be a moment, sometimes it can just be natural. Why do you think you're playing your best basketball right now?
It's a great question. I mean, I think we just, stuck with it throughout the whole year. No matter what it was, no matter what the problems were, we were going to try to find an answer for it. And I think we've kind of started to find some of those answers. And again, we still have, some questions that we need to be answered. And, this team is just so resilient in the way that, we come to work every day and try to get better. That's kind of Coach Barnes' message to us every day is how can we get better today? And just attacking that each and every day is ultimately going to lead to, us getting better down the road, and I think that's kind of what we've done so far.
And Bishop, if you could talk about Elliot Cadeau and what specifically he brings to the table.
Yeah, I played him in high school and things of that nature, and obviously I haven't played him in college, but just kind of seeing and following his career. But obviously he's super talented guard. I think super quick, but the best thing about his game is just the way he's able to get his teammates involved, and I think kind of run the show. So, him playing off of ball screens, able to get it to the bigs and just get guys in position, he's really talented in that aspect.
Go to the fourth row on the left.
Just for the players, Tennessee has never been to a Final Four. I'm just wondering from your standpoint what it would mean to kind of break that and Is that something that gives you any extra motivation?
Ethan, you want to take that?
Yeah. For me, is just try to bring pride to the university and the people in Knoxville. Obviously, we got a huge fan base behind us that supports us every game, showing us love. So for me, is first of all to go down in history. I really want this team to make something special. I love these group of guys. I enjoy every moment with them, and I think it's also the main reason why we go out there and we play so hard. We love being with each other. It's fun. It's a blessing for me to even be here at this stage. So just really bring pride and to the city, to the university, like I said before, and I enjoy this, man. To me, it's a blessing being here.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely a added motivation. I'm hungry for it. Last year I was here and we were able to get to an Elite Eight, and that was thanks to those senior guys, and we weren't able to get it done, and to just kind of see their faces, it hurt absolutely. So. Last year watching the ceremony and everything of that nature, and just seeing, we weren't able to get right to that point. So that's what we worked so hard for all season, and through the ups and downs of it all, we knew we were able to get back to this point. We knew we were that talented. So, yeah, I'm definitely hungry for it, and it's a little extra motivation.
Anything you want to add, Nate?
I mean, it's just something I've prayed for, something I really want. Kind of do it for like Ethan said, do it for the people of Knoxville, do it for the university, but also do it for these people that have been with me throughout this whole season, my teammates, my coaches, and yeah, it's something that I really want, and I think we all have been hungry for it the whole season.
I think we can time to go to Zoom for one question. We have Dan Tortora from wakeupcalldt.com. Go ahead.
To you, Coach, when you hear your student athletes talk about their faith, and just, kind of a two-parter, why you are comfortable sharing your faith and unapologetic about that, and what it means to have student athletes that want to have that in their atmosphere and their environment.
Coach, you can go ahead and add that. His question was for you.
Say that again.
Can you repeat that again?
Sure. Just, Coach, what it means to you, your faith, and why you don't hide your faith. And then secondly, what it means to have players that embrace that.
Well, obviously, it is the most important thing in my life. I'm at a stage in my life where, that's really the most important thing in my life. And I do want our players to understand it, because if I could go back, I've learned a lot more through the rear view mirror than I have looking forward. I wish at their age I would have gone deep in, much deeper into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's one of the reasons when I came to Tennessee 11 years ago, we started what we call Power Talk, and we have a wonderful person in Chris Walker, who is part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and they mentioned the fact that we do a Power Talk, and we have for 11 years right before we have our pregame meal. And it's a gospel message, and related to what we do or where we might be at that time. And Chris and Scott Jackson, those two guys do that. But here's our governor had a great quote a couple weeks ago. He said, "There's very few things in life that matter. We should be about them." And I really took that to heart, because, and to me, the most important thing is to love God with all my heart, soul, and mind. And that's where I am right now in my life, and it's the most important thing. And so I'm proud of these guys, because as they get older, they're going to find out that it's really the main thing. And I think that we all need to learn how to keep our thoughts on the main thing.
Any other questions for our student athletes at this time? Okay, if not, we'll let the student athletes go. A reminder, the breakout rooms will be open. We'll have Nate Bishop along with Felix Akpara and Jacoby Gillespie available in there. So, gentlemen, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good job, Heath.
All right, this time we'll take questions for Coach. We'll go front row.
Hey, Rick. Dan Wolken, Yahoo Sports. Who influenced the way you coach defense? And, as stylistic changes have gone through college basketball over the course of your career, how much have you changed the way you coach it?
Not much. When I was blessed to become a head coach in, I think, '87 at George Mason University, I'd had a great experience as an assistant coach. Every coach I grew up under. I learned something from Gary Williams, Joe Harrington, Wimp Sanderson, and being able to be an assistant coach in the Big Ten under Gary Williams. I watched Gene Cady, Judd Heath, a bunch of guys work. When I was in the SEC with Coach, I always listened to them say who they thought were really good coaches. And so the first NCAA tournament I went to, I saw what I thought was the very best defensive team I'd ever seen. It was Charlie Spoonhour when he was at what is now Missouri State. So when I got the head coaching job, I called Hugh Durham and asked him if I could come down and visit with him, and he allowed me to. And then I called Charlie Spoonhour, did the same thing. And what I found out after being with both of them, everything, they both did the exact same things, basically the same drills that I used to do a lot of them. Don't do as much as I used to because Gary and Wimp influenced me a little bit in terms of playing more 5-on-5, but it all came from Henry Iba. It all came from him. The drills that we used were the drills that, if you heard Coach Knight show drills or Al Balbo, that's where it came from. And I don't think I've ever invented anything with this game, but I know that I've been a guy that has stolen a lot of stuff from a lot of coaches, and I've learned from so many coaches. And I had a year at Davidson with Bob McKillop, who's been probably my greatest mentor in terms of coaching. Bob and I still talk often. I think he's one of the greatest coaches that have ever coached this game. And but our defensive scheme is, we don't press as much as we used to. I had a wonderful athletic director, and I've had a hard time. We were talking about it this morning because we knew at some point that teams might throw out a zone. I've watched John Shire do it through the tournament here. And I was my first year as a head coach, Jack Cavance, who gave me my first opportunity, and I loved him to death. And he and I had a weekly meeting. And one day, and we had a zone. We had a 3-2 that I had taken from Gary Williams. And he asked me why I didn't play zone very much. I said, well, I don't know. I just, my real reason would be I don't know if we can rebound out of it. And he's put this question in front of me. He said, if you had the ball with a chance to win a national championship, would you rather the team be in a man or a zone? And I said, man. He said, that's my, why not play zone, And, but it goes back. I've just had a chance to learn from so many people. My first year in the Big East, the day that Louis Carnesecca retired, we had always ran a zone press back then, and he's the only guy we couldn't press. I called Coach and I said, can I come down and talk to you about your press offense? And we're using things today that from Dean Smith, from Bobby Knight, from Lou Carnesecca. We're still using that stuff. And people ask me all the time about if the game's changed. It has, but in some ways it hasn't. Okay.
We'll go first row on the left.
Rick, Luke DeCock from Hoops HQ. Kevin Durant was in here Monday night, scored 40 points against the Bulls. If someone had told you 20 years ago he was still going to be playing at an elite level in the NBA, you were still going to be coaching at an elite level, which one would have surprised you more?
Me, because I was never elite. I'm not elite. He's elite. I knew the first time that I saw him. Kevin, he is one of the most humble people, but it's his work ethic. Hardest working player we've ever coached. To this day, the hardest working player we've ever coached. And he still does it. He loves being in the gym. And actually, you talk about recruiting Nate. The last meeting I had with Nate before he committed, a week later, I actually took our game with Kansas, where Kevin put on, I think, arguably one of the greatest shows ever, and he turned his ankle. And I sat there and I showed it to Nate, and I said, if you don't want to do this, we don't want you at Tennessee. This is what we need you to do. And I said, but right now, if you don't want this, you need to tell me, and I will get up and walk out, and I hope and pray you have a wonderful career. But he said, that's what I want. And but Kevin, just his work ethic and his humility, and again, I can say his hard work, but he's still, anybody that knows him will tell you he's one of the greatest teammates you could ever have.
Go back on the left side.
Nancy Hummer, USA Today Sports. Rick, you've gotten a lot of criticism over the years for your results in March, and I'm wondering if there's any kind of satisfaction given that for the third year in a row, you are one of the last 8 teams standing.
What about, you mean not doing well in the tournament? Well, I've said before, I'd like to win every game, but our first two teams at Providence, we were picked to finish last in the Big East, and getting to the tournament was an incredible achievement. And did I make mistakes back then in coaching? Probably in this tournament, certainly I do. I think I did. Probably maybe putting way too much pressure on guys and maybe changing up what we did, maybe too much, or maybe, honestly, and probably doing too much as opposed to doing less. But I will never take away from those guys because I know how hard they worked, and I know that, I know we lost some heartbreaking games. I can tell you that. I mean, we did. I lost a game to Ohio State. I'll never forget it. The last game on the second night at 9 o'clock at night, and they hit a 40-foot shot on us. And but I'm proud of all those teams. I really am. And do I wish we could have won national championships and all that? All I can tell you is that we just stayed in the arena, and we're going to keep fighting as long as we can. But again, I'm proud of every team that we've ever had in this tournament.
We'll go fourth row in the middle.
Carlos Menares, Detroit Free Press. Rick, how much does that Michigan loss 4 years ago in the tournament still hurt? And did that do anything to maybe spur you on into maybe changing some of the things you might have done in the tournament that now you've had, led to a lot more success?
Again, every team every team does have its own personality, and you start getting in a groove with them a little bit as the season goes on. I mean, we went through a time this year where I've said it before, we should have won 5 more games with this team, maybe more. But we turned the ball over at the wrong time, the wrong place, with just things that somewhat were baffling at times, because I think we've got really good players and guys that I know how hard they work, I know how much they care. And we've tried to obviously continue to teach them the value of the basketball. And but the one thing is we went through a month and a half where we didn't know what we were going to get from 6 down to 12 or 13. We were just searching. But you kind of, and I thought one of the biggest things that we did that probably turned us around, we decided because of the inconsistencies and, the season goes on, we're going to start tapering our practices a little bit. And we have a scout team mostly with, with walk-ons, and we started using guys that weren't playing on the scout team. And it ended up, we said, this is helping them help us, and they were having to learn the other team's sets and all those type things. And Ethan was on it for probably 2 weeks and never even did anything with the guys that were playing. And but looking back, I know it helped him. I know it helped Amari Evans and Abrams, and it's helped Troy. It helped all of them. And what pleased me about that, they didn't take it as they were being put down or quit on them. It wasn't that, which I thought was a really sign of their maturity, because we had some guys that, again, would go through a 2-day prep where it was all scout team, and we'd put them in the game. And they realized that we meant what we said. If they practiced hard and showed us that they were locked in, we were going to play them, whether they got the reps they needed with us. And I do think that was a big turning point for this group. And I don't know if I'd have told you that at the time, but looking back, as I think about it, I do think that was something that we got a lot more out of than we probably thought at the time.
All right, we'll go second row on the left. Start.
Rick, Steve Lehman, News Channel 5 Nashville. You talked the last couple of days about how much you enjoy this and how blessed you feel to be back in this position. What drives you to get over this Elite Eight hump? And is it the competitive part personally? Is it for the guys who are sitting next to you just a moment ago to have them experience getting back to a Final Four? Is it for Tennessee? What is it that drives you the most to get this win tomorrow and get there?
Well, again, I mean, if you do this, you want to win. You do. I just want us to be the best we can be. I want us to be the best version that we can be, and if we're good enough, we're good enough. And I have great respect for every opponent we play. I don't care who it is. I tell people, in all of the time I've been in this, I haven't coached against bad coaches. Everybody's got their teams prepared. And I just know that these guys have worked hard, but I know Michigan's worked hard. I mean, Iowa State, those guys, got at it. And but you know, right now we've got 40 minutes left in front of us, and it's got to be the hardest 40 minutes. What we did yesterday has got to be better tomorrow, and each player has got to do it. And but it's just every day you get up, and Nate alluded to it. We've got one philosophy: let's get a little bit better today. Let's just be better today than we were yesterday. And if we can build on that each day, you know, we're good enough to get to our goals, we'll get there. But this group is, through all the ups and downs, I'll tell you a great story with Ethan. He was really struggling. And I actually said to him one day, I said, I asked him, I said, are you about ready to quit? Because he was down about as low as you could be. And he said to me, Coach, I will never, ever quit on these guys. He said, this is the first real team I've ever been a part of. He says, if I never play another minute, I will never quit on these guys. I promise you. Because he said, I love them. There's a brotherhood with us, and I would never quit on them. And he hasn't. And these last couple of games, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. But his maturity, and he went through a tough time. Now, you got to realize his family's been in and out of bunkers in Tel Aviv for months now. And it's been tough on him. But he's handled it really, really well. But that was one of the greatest things that any player's ever said to me. He said, I would never quit on these guys. And he wasn't playing. And he just kept grinding, and good things happen to people that do that.
We'll go fourth row in the middle.
Yeah. Hi, Rick. Tony Garcia, Detroit Free Press. You've seen a lot of teams throughout your tenure, and I'm sure you'll get a better sense tomorrow. But on film, what sort of level or echelon does this Michigan team appear to be on? Like, what stands out to you?
Oh, I mean, any teams that, you know, they won't beat people by 40, 50 points. I mean, that doesn't happen, you would think, in today's world. But they're every spot. You know, they can get. They got guys that can. Their depth, everything about them. I mean, they're well coached. So sound fundamentally, and explosive, and their size. I mean, defensively is a factor. They just impact the game on both ends of the court, and they seem like they have a team. I mean, it doesn't seem like they. When you win the games they've won, they obviously have. There's a buy-in there with each one of them and their teams, and I just have the utmost respect for them.
Go back on the left.
Justin Williams from The Athletic. Coach, you mentioned last week that Coach Gainey was ready to coach any school in the country. Obviously, his name's come up with NC State specifically opening. What have you talked to him about that process, and why do you feel like he's prepared for that?
Well, I hope he gets that job, because I don't think there's anyone in the country that loves NC State more than Justin Gainey. You know, he's a North Carolina native. He went to NC State, played 4 years there, started 4 years, helped him win an ACC tournament. He has just incredible pride in his university, and a terrific basketball coach. I mean, he highly. I mean, if you come to our walkthroughs like today or the other day, he scouted the last game. I don't say a whole lot because those guys have it, but you know, Justin is. He's got an incredible feel for the game. He really understands players. He works at it. Terrific recruiter. Understands the NIL era today. If NC State knew what I knew, they would be begging him to be their next head coach, because he's ready for not just NC State. He's ready to be the head coach of University of Tennessee or any school in the country. He's that good. And again, I've been with him through a lot of these games, and he's. I mean, he recruited Nate. He was the lead recruiter on him, and just phenomenal job. And with all that said, one of the finest people I've ever been around, and a beautiful family.
Go second row on the right.
Hey, Rick, Vince Ferrar, 99.1 The Sports Animal. You've gotten credit for adjusting to today's world in college athletics and everything that comes with that. But why have you still been able to connect with young players? Is that recruiting the right kind of players that are willing to be coached hard? Is it something else? Why have you still connected with young players?
I've always thought the biggest reason back in the day when players did transfer, I often thought it was because of the recruiting process. Sometimes things were promised that weren't kept, and I certainly have always believed the most important thing in recruiting is transparency right from the beginning in terms of everything. Like I've often said, if you really want to know what we're about, you need to come to campus, you need to spend time with our players, you need to ask them, because I've found through the years that players really are honest with each other. Watch how we do practice. Our practices are open to anybody. I mean, we have parents that come to watch practice, and I'm not going to change. You're there, Vince. You said I'm not changing. I don't care who's there. Parents, we're going to be who we are every single day. And I think as long as you're truthful with people, and when you have hard practices, and our practices are demanding, but I have again a great coaching staff. Those guys, they know that if I've had a day where I've gotten on a lot of guys, we're always in our locker room with them after practice, having dinner with them, staying with them. We have a situation where my staff, they get this, and we know that we are blessed to have a chance to be with guys like this, and our job is to help these guys reach their ultimate goal. They all want to be pros. They all want to be. And we don't want to be the ones that they look back and say that we didn't do our part. We want them to look back and say that we did everything that we could for them, and the time with us was the greatest time they've ever had in their life. But it goes back to, I think, being direct. I think it goes back to being brutally honest. And some you're going to get, and some you're, like the night with Nate, I just said, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is what we need. And then the last thing I said to him, if you choose to do this, it's going to be the hardest thing in your life, and there's going to be days you're not going to like me very much. But when it's all said and done, you'll understand all of it. And I just think it's being truthful with people. And if you do that, any situation that comes up, you can work through it.
All right, we'll go fourth row on the left. Right in front.
Charlie Spungen, Medill News Service. Coach, you've faced Dusty May on the NCAA tournament stage before. He was at FAU where he found great success. Now is doing the same at Michigan. With him having success like that at two different schools now, what do you think that says about his ability to build a program?
Well, I think he's a terrific basketball coach. And, again, the times I've been with him, I really do love him as a human being. He knows what he's doing, obviously. And there's so many coaches, like I mentioned Bob McKillop. If Bob McKillop would have chosen to, I think he could have probably had a chance to be on the big stage if he wanted to. But there's so many guys that people don't talk about that are great basketball coaches. And then you get that chance, obviously, and Dusty did a great job and then he gets one of the great jobs in the country, and he believes in what he believes in. I mean, you watch his teams play, there's a definite trait there that you understand what's important to him, and it's a winning formula, and he stays with it. Certainly, like all of us have to do today, we have to adapt to what's going on in the NIL, but again, just great respect for him.
Go all the way back in the middle.
Coach Chris Harris at WSMV4 in Nashville. You talked earlier about every team is unique that you've had. What makes this team's identity different than the previous two that got to this point, and why may that identity be the difference in getting over the hump this time?
Well, the previous two, they kind of grew up with us, Zakai and Jemai, and, we plugged in with, Dalton Connect and Chaz. This group, we started with 11 new players, and not knowing, but we felt like we'd improved in some areas. Like a year ago, we had absolutely no presence at all in the post. JP had been hurt a little bit. Felix, was coming in for the first time, really. But this group started out, and we knew at the end of last year that, there are two top targets in the portal was Jacoby and Jalen. And we miss Cade. We still do. He would be, that was another rim protector we had. But it's just when we started last spring, Clarence wasn't with us. He didn't get here till late. Ethan came in later than him, which it's always hard to catch up. But we thought when we took Ethan that his maturity, 23-year-olds spending time in the Israeli army, maturity would catch it up. And but it was we realized with him, too, he was learning a whole new game, not just I mean, the game he played was totally different than what we do. But and then you go back, Dwayne Brown. Every year in recruiting, somebody's going to surprise you, somebody's going to disappoint you. Dwayne has no doubt been the biggest surprise this year, which is great because when Cade fought that shoulder thing for as long as he could, and finally he couldn't. And so I think the fact that Felix and Dwayne went at each other every day. And I look back right now, the guys that never missed any reps all summer were Nate. Nobody, Jacoby Gillespie, you talk about an Iron Man. I don't think he's ever missed a practice. And he went all reps all summer along with Felix and Dwayne. But they just stayed connected, and they've pushed each other. Even when we were talking about putting guys on the scout team, we didn't want those guys in any way, shape, or form thinking that we had quit on them because at that time we were so inconsistent. We were searching for whatever we could find. We wanted them to know that we're trying to do it to get them to understand that if they can get better, we can get better. And the guys the guys that haven't been on the scout team, I think those guys realized how much they were helping them get better, as opposed to going against scout teams that as much as we were doing it once we got into the season. But I think what Ethan told me speaks volumes about it's the first real team he's been a part of. And I would say with 11 new guys in today's environment, that's important. Can you get guys to come in with so much of the outside things that are going on and buy into wanting to be a really special basketball team? And I've got to give them credit because I think that locker room's theirs. We are in the lounge a lot with it right there, but it's fun sitting outside after dinner or something, hearing them cut up and have a good time. And before G goes in to tell them film room, just hearing them laugh. And it's been a group like that. When I tell you what, when we've lost, I could tell it hit them, it hurt them, and I've tried as much as I can to let them enjoy the wins more than I probably do, but it's just, again, God's blessed us with a group of guys that are very unselfish is what it gets down to.
Just got time for one last question. Dan?
Rick, it's sort of become popular for guys in their 40s like Dusty to say they're not going to do this as long as you and Izzo and Calipari and guys of your generation. Do you believe them, and what would you say to them about being your age and still doing this?
Well, I think if you love to coach basketball, I think it's okay to be and I'm not demeaning this now, a 7th and 8th grade basketball coach, 9th grade coach. I think if you love being in the gym, coaching basketball, why not do it for as long as you can? And I really believe that when Tom and I met back in 1985 at Columbus, Ohio, watching Eli Brewster play in a gym in Columbus, Ohio, and Cal and I worked the Pitt camp together in 1977 at Pittsburgh, and Sean Miller was my starting point guard on the team at 8 years old. We won the championship, and that was his first championship and my first championship. But the game has certainly changed, and I will say this: we got into it because we love coaching basketball, and I know that, and I know talking to those guys, even today, they really still love going into the gym. They love the challenge of putting together a group of guys that can play beautiful basketball the way that, and each one of us, each team's different, but we love doing it. And I just feel like this is where God's put me at this time, and I'm blessed. But I do. I love coaching basketball, and I do know that God will make it perfectly clear when my time's up. And I've said before this week that I'm in a wonderful situation at the University of Tennessee. And but I don't know if I would say that if I were those guys, because I will say this: it's easier today than it was back then. Because today it's easy. You can recruit a guy now for a week and get him. I mean, hey, just what's the number? But in some ways it's easier, and I'm being brutally honest. It really is, because it's different there, but the stakes are higher. when I got in it, I think there were maybe 150 teams, Division I teams. Now there's 300. And people, obviously, with what's at stake now, everybody wants to win every time they go out, and every team does. I mean, every team does. And I know this, that you don't take any of it for granted because it can end quickly. And I've just been blessed, and I thank the good Lord for giving me the opportunities He's given me all these years.
All right, that's all the time we've got.
All right.
Coach, thanks for your
All
time.
right,
See you
thank
tomorrow night.
Okay.